Hello, hello there, my crafty friends. It's Candy here from sweetstamper.com, and I'm so happy to be with you here today. I think I'm like 2 minutes late. I have a brand new phone holder, whatever you want to call it. I forgot to turn my notifications off. And in the midst of trying to figure out how to position it, somehow I have managed to set that, that SOS alert on your phone. I set it like 4 times, was having to disconnect that. And yeah, technology, we have a love-hate relationship with it. Hey, Cheryl, I'm so glad to see you here today. And Barb and Ada K. Yay, we've already got a good group that is gathering. I have something fun for you today. So in the midst of camera woes, we will have a good time with our crafting. And I hope that you are enjoying some springtime weather wherever you are. Ada K, you just had a big milestone birthday, I believe. Congratulations on, hitting that first half-century mark. It's an exciting birthday. Hi, Beverly, I'm glad you're here. And Marlene, welcome, welcome. I'm just going to bring up Facebook on my computer so that when I bring the camera down, I will be able to see exactly what you are seeing. That is rather important so that I'm not showing you like, I don't know, the ceiling or something like that. So that wouldn't be exciting at all. So I do have something really fun, and so I don't want you to miss it. So we are in a interesting period of time with Stampin' Up! Because it's the retiring list, which is something that we have every year, and it's super fun because it's like, okay, what was in that annual catalog that I haven't gotten yet and I really wanted? And on top of that, some of those items, including some of the dies, are deeply discounted, maybe more than I've ever seen before. Welcome, Jackie and Betty. I'm glad you're here. But then, to just kind of spice things up a little bit more, is that we have our spring catalog, which has now been kind of renamed January to June to help us keep up, I think, with the dates. And also the fact that we're a global company. And so for people in the South Pacific, I think it's like a different season for them. Their seasons are back to front to ours. So it has become known officially as the January to June catalog. I still call it the spring catalog. So those things, of course, are all the way through the end of June. New annual catalog debuts in May. So yeah, it's a little bit of a funky time for us. But all that being said, I have some fun things to show you. So let me get let's see. Hopefully, when I turn the camera down, it won't be like on a ship for you, because now I have I'm not on a gooseneck anymore. So let's see. And I love to hear what y'all say about how things are looking for you. Hey, Sarah, I'm glad you're here. Oh, I have a feeling I'm gonna have to go way back on my desk. So Betty is already enjoying the new catalog. So those of us, yes, who are demonstrators, many of us already have our new catalog. So it's very exciting stuff. Of course, we have new in colors. This is the time of year when we get new in colors. And it's a catalog that will run all the way through a 12-month period. You may be thinking, wow, how that happen so quickly? And it's because our last catalog, our last annual catalog, or I should say it's still current right now, was only available for 11 months because we've been in the midst of a catalog transition. And the transition was going from starting our new catalog in June to starting it in May. So, things are looking really good. I'm finally just now able to see what y'all are seeing. Crazy. Okay. So this is what I wanted to bring to mind today. I'm going to combine some retiring items with this beautiful stamp set bundle. This is the next to the last day, or as the Brits would say, the penultimate day, to order my Cards with a Twist class for April. And this is the class I run every month where you do 8 cards. Technically, they're 2 of each, but each set of 2 has a twist, and that's why I call it cards with a twist. So there's 8 cards. You get your 8 envelopes, and you get all the prepared supplies for these, and that includes these die cuts, folks. And you're also going to get a roll of this beautiful ribbon. This is another spring catalog item. It's Blushing Bride metallic ribbon, and it's real gold on this side, and then this side is just a smooth satin Blushing Bride, and both sides are equally lovely. So here I've brought out more of the gold, and here I've brought out more of the pink. So they're equally lovely. These come in a set of 5. You're actually going to get 3 of these sponge daubers, because that is what you're going to use to color your succulents. So this is the Simply Succulents bundle. And so I added color to them with just your ink pad and these little sponge daubers. Sponge daubers are awesome, really, really useful. And then, but wait, there's more. You're also going to get a package of these butterfly gems. Now these are actually on the retiring list. And of course, when I put this class together, I didn't know what would and would not be on the retiring list. So I just kind of had to go with what I was planning. And then you're also going to get a 4th of a package of this butterfly bijou paper. Now this paper was a while supplies last item that went out with the Butterfly Brilliance new pre-release bundle. This sold out really, really quickly. I bought up enough to where I could run my class. So you will get to have a 1/4 of a pack of this hot item, and they're beautiful patterns, both sides, and you will be using this paper on your class. So that is my Cards with a Twist class. Again, tomorrow is the last day to register for this class. So one of the things that I didn't know, of course, when I was designing the class, is whether Simply Succulents would be available beyond the time of the spring catalog. It is a spring catalog item, so it goes all the way through June, but wait, there's more. This is actually in the new annual catalog as well. So you're going to be seeing I think what's good about that for all of us is that when you purchase this bundle, or when you get the class, because the class does not include the bundle. You can add on the bundle if you want, and I do give you that at a discount as a perk of purchasing my class. But I think what's exciting about that is that, for the next 12 months, people are going to be creating with this. Demonstrators and stampers are going to be creating with this. So there's going to be a ton of ideas out there, and that is good news for all of us, because we're always looking for more ideas. I will tell you that one of the, let me just show you the stamps and the dies, because I think it's really a stellar set. And I think it's, some of those stamps are mounted, so I won't show you the stamp set yet. They are actually this size. I love this for creating backgrounds. And you can see here where I created backgrounds here. It makes a beautiful background stamp. But then you can take that same stamp, and there is a die for it, and so then you can die cut the entire piece. And then you have this lovely plant pot, which is what I've done here, and then of course there is a die to cut it out. Then you have some single succulent kind of flowers, and then you have die cuts for those as well. And let's see, this is where I also cut out the spray of succulents, and then added the pot, with the die cut, you can make the pot just out of like a metallic foil, or of course you can stamp it and cut it out. So lots of options with these elements. I love, love, love the words. And then you have these really stellar dies. In addition to your different succulent plants, you have 4 really nice stitched label dies, which are really, look at that. They're just lovely. And of course, these will nest in each other. So there's just a lot to recommend this set. Yeah, there's that little skinny one here, right here with the kind of inverted or little points on the end. And then, and I used this die here is a really nice label die, but I really love also, this is just gorgeous. And I've worked with that even here on my Facebook Lives a couple of times, and you can just get so many different looks. Both of these I layered on top of Designer Series paper. Now these are subtle designs, but they come out so pretty. And then I created these cards on a Teach Me Tuesday. And here I've layered it, I've cut this out with the pearlescent paper, and which is also a spring catalog item that has transferred or transitioned as well into the new annual catalog. And then here's that cute label. So you can see how this I used with different stamps as far as the greetings. And I used, instead of Designer Series paper like I did here, I created a watercolor background with the, what do you call those little rollers? Those little paint rollers that are retiring. I can't think of the name now. Hey Mary, I'm glad you're here, and Twyla. They're those cute little rollers. I can't think of the name right now. But there is just a lot to recommend this set, and I'm going to use it again today because there are just so many design options with it. So when I did this, I was teaching you how to create a sunrise background brayers, sponge brayers. Thank you, Jill. So you can do some cool techniques and stuff with this stamp set and die set, but you can also do some pretty simple stamping, and that's what I'm going to do today, because on Thursdays I like to do simple stamping with you. I think it not only helps beginners find a way into the wonderful world of stamping, but it also takes us back to the basics and helps us know how to do some simpler items. I thought it was interesting when I looked at the samples here, because I thought, well, maybe I'll case something from the catalog. And all of these use the die cuts. Nothing here that uses just stamping. So let's see what Candy came up with today for us to do some simple stamping. So I have already mounted this big set of succulents. This is my favorite stamp in here. I absolutely adore it. And then this is a single, and then I decided you've been on my mind. That is the sentiment that I wanted to use. And I wanted to use, I'm itching to use the new in colors and introduce them to you, but I'm exercising some patience here and some, what's what I'm looking for? Can't think of the word right now. I'm exercising patience and waiting a little bit. And I usually don't start looking at new catalog stuff online with y'all until the last week of the retiring list. Now with my team, we're already geeking out over that new catalog, but with y'all, because you can't get it yet. If you're not a demonstrator, you can't get that stuff yet. So there's no point in getting too excited about it quite yet. Restraint, that's exactly the word I was looking for. Thank you, Jeanette. And hey, Kathy, I'm glad you're here. So I'm going to use Just Jade, kind of a natural when you're thinking about these Simply Succulents. And I wanted to tie in some of our retiring items. And so I'm using Just Jade. This is one of the end colors that was introduced this year, but we get another whole year with it. And I am going to my trusty little color coach. So I've uploaded this download many times here, and I can upload it again. This is a file that Stampin' Up! Provides for us. I just print it on, I actually print it on basic white cardstock because it holds the ink really well. Even when it's not, I guess even when it's not stamped ink, I think it holds the ink really well, so it prints well. I mean, look, that's pretty spot on with regard to, getting the color correct. So for my color scheme, and I will show you what we're going to do. So this is, let me pull this back out. This is Just Jade, Petal Pink, and Gray Granite. So I thought, okay, what is retiring that I could use on my card? And of course, the designer series papers are all retiring except for the wood grain one. So here's some, I pulled out this set of designer series papers. This is Peony Garden. And these are the colors that are in my color scheme right here, with the gray granite and the petal pink. So this even has a little bit of a smudge on it, but I think I can cover that up and use it anyway. So I just thought, you know, let's see what we can do with these on the back. And I'm actually going to make 2 cards, and we'll make them side by side and see what we come up with. Before I do that, let me just show you the 2 papers that I'm going to use, because I'm actually going to layer this with some of this. So let's see, that could be pretty wild. Let's see whether we're going to do that, or maybe we won't. So let's see. Couple of options here, but before I do, I really like this layer together. This is a little wild for me, but you know, patience. We may go with just a solid piece and not do the pattern, because that's a really heavy pattern of the petal pink. So let me just show you really quick. Both of these are retiring. This is Forever Greenery, and you can see why it's called Forever Greenery. In addition to having all these leaves, all this foliage, you have so many greens. Most of our greens are represented here. I think there might be 1 or 2, maybe just 1. I don't see Mossy Meadow in there. But these are mostly our bluey greens. Really beautiful, great backgrounds. These are also really nice for scrapbookers. And then the other one that is also really nice for scrapbookers is Peony Garden. And I think because of these really nice kind of background, I love this marble pattern right here. So these are really good patterns. Both front and back, you have a very neutral color palette. Of course, these are both neutrals, and petal pink is kind of a flesh color. So I think it works really, really well for a kind of a neutral type card, or a neutral type color. So let's go ahead and go with here, and let's back that. So we're just using, this is all designer series paper. So let's think about that. And then let's think about, I need a bone folder. Let me grab my little toolkit here. And let's think about this right here. And maybe I'm going to show you something I did off camera because it needed to dry. So I haven't made this yet. I was just kind of playing with things to see what I might want to use today. But I thought, you know what? Let's see how vellum would look on here if I stamp the vellum. Now that I like. Now when you stamp regular ink on vellum, or even if you stamp, see it's still drying a little bit over here. Even if you stamp StazOn ink, it's going to have to dry. But I think that looks pretty cool there. So you guys tell me what you think. Although this is a really heavy pattern here, and this is a heavy pattern, this is tone on tone, and so it definitely brings it down a little bit where it's not quite so bright. So let's think about, this is my 2, these are my color, what's the word I'm looking for? My color coach is over here. So I also, in playing around a little bit, I also used that stamp as a background. So I could also use that as a background instead of the designer paper, and either do something like this. I do like repeating patterns where I would do that, but to me that doesn't, it needs a little bit of something. It needs some, you know, it needs some color. That's a little bit, I like monochromatic, but that to me is a little bit too much of a good thing. So I'm thinking that we're going to, now this we could do, where this one I've used the gray granite here, we could do this, and that's quite nice. But again, that's a lot of pattern. So I think I'm going to go with my original this is a really, really tight, like a super tight chevron pattern, really subtle. So I think that because these leaves are really bold, that it works well. I do like contrast. What about a golden paper behind it? Now that might work, and actually, Judy, I've pulled, this is one of the papers in the spring catalog, and this is that set of 3 different papers. So yeah, I think, ooh, that looks kind of cool. Yeah, we could do something like that, and that definitely helps. So let's see, I think that if we start here and then take it, we will move on with our, oh, you know what, yeah, I think that's the one we said was going to be a little bit too much. Even here, let's see, try that one here. That's kind of nice, because it brings in the green. I mean, that's really brings in the white a lot. Oh, didn't even think about that one. That's very pretty too. And this one would probably work over here because it's more subtle. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's much nicer because it's subtle. So yeah, I think honestly, they both look great, and you love the stamped vellum. I love the stamped vellum too. I think it's kind of a cool look. What I kind of like about this is both of these are kind of masculine images in the sense that that's kind of like a greenery chevron, and this is more like a printed chevron. So I don't know, maybe we'll just leave that one off and go with that. That might be kind of nice. Now let me show you where I'm going to go with our, I might add a little bit of this ribbon, but I think that might be too much of a good thing with regard to our Just Jade. I was thinking that I might add something like that. This is, again, I'm looking at what's retiring, and this is one of our retiring punches. I do like this a lot. I think it's called Storybook Label. I use this a lot. And what I was thinking about, and I may have forgotten to add my scrap paper in here, and I did. Let me grab my scrap paper to be able to put my, oh yeah, I didn't put it in here, to put my greeting on. Let me grab that really quick. I think that when it comes to the greeting, we could go in several directions. So we could go with white, and I think that definitely brightens things up here and brings out the white there. Might be a little too light there, so I think that might be a good choice. This kind of brings a little bit of that peach color in, which is kind of a nice. And this is a color that is in the paper, which might work with all these greens. So I think those are possibilities. So let's just think about how we're going to do this. And I think what I'd like to do is start with, let's just stamp it and let's trim it and see where we get on. So let me move these. I'm not going to actually stick anything down just yet. Hey, Veronica, I'm glad you're here. We will take you late. Now, again, I'm using just the one color of ink. I haven't done anything else. My greeting is here. You've been on my mind, and I think I'm going to do this twice. And this is actually a little bit too big for my punch. This, it does go in this punch like this, obviously. Oh, not that punch, where'd it go? Obviously that, I would have to bring my flower into a softer color, but it does fit if I wanted to do that, but I think it's a little bit too much. I think it's just too much with that flower. So that's where I thought, well, let's see if sometimes you don't actually need to punch it out. Just get a pair of scissors with a long blade, and that's it. Super easy. Because again, this is simple and stepped up stamping. And you know, there's nothing wrong with just a simple greeting like that, particularly when it's a skinny one, I think, and there's just one line. This kind of hand cut look is actually quite attractive. So that is what I'm thinking we can do. Super simple. Now, I mean, here, this is all just stamping and designer series paper, and there's nothing else there. I think that is kind of a winning combination, to be honest. I could put this behind there and step it up there, but I think this is just too much of that color, of that shine. So I'm thinking we could do this and then add a little bit of embellishment and we'll be there. I do want to put this on the inside. Now, where did they go? I know I packed up. Here we go. This is going to go on the inside. So what I will do is, of course, I have this on my desk, face down with the ink on it. Let's take that gorgeous stamp and let's ink it up. And let's just do something fun here, because this is super simple. This is really about stamps, ink, and paper. So let's take this and do a beautiful, beautiful envelope. And then I'm going to ink it up again. And I'm going to stamp it off on my grid paper here. And then this is going to go on the inside of my card. And I've already got a little smudge here. So I think that's where I will kind of go right here. That will cover up my smudge. So that's going to go on the inside of my card. That's looking really lovely. So now let's go ahead and pull this together with some basic adhesive. And so we're just going to, ooh, this makes me happy because this really is just a stamps, ink, and paper. Now how I'm going to, ooh, see that, see how I touched that before it had it's still a little bit wet, so it's starting to smudge a little bit. If you want to do this technique, you really are best to use your heat tool and set it. So we talked about, I know Judy's on here, we talked about the heat tool because that is what you use for your, what do you call it, heat embossing. And I think, let's see if I can grab this. I think I'm going to use just the tiniest little bit of adhesive there to hold my vellum in place, and then I may have to go back and do a little something. It's actually not showing through, which is cool. Sometimes vellum will give you a little bit of a challenge with adhesive because it wants to stick. Now let me show you what I'm doing, because this is actually off camera. This is my favorite way. I'm a heavy-handed stamper. I'm a heavy-handed with everything. So when I use this, I tend to kind of make it stop. And to get it going again, I just use that silicone mat, and it is, I mean, perfect. It gets it going for me every single time. And really, if you're a light-handed person, you won't have nearly as much trouble with that, with the Stamp and Seal rolling smoothly for you. But like I said, I'm a little bit on the heavy-handed side. So this is just a 4x3 piece of vellum is what I've done here. And I stamped it, and then I have added it to a 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 piece. I will share the inspiration sheet for you because I know that that is a help. Okay, and I think I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. I could, you know, let's just, that would be a lot of ribbon, but let's just take a tiny bit of ribbon and let's just do a little ribbon tab up here at the top. So we're going to step it up just a wee bit. Maybe we'll do that on the second one. This one we're going to do just stamps, ink, and paper. Okay, stay focused, Candy. Adhesive. Here we go. Let's go with these little guys. And I hope I'm not smearing my image while I'm doing this. I'm trying to not shift it too much. I will tell you that my day has not gone the way I had planned. this morning I needed to get into my documents and stuff. We're going on the Stampin' Up! Incentive trip to Maui in May. Very excited about that. And it required a fair bit. I tell you, flying into Hawaii right now, you got a lot of paperwork to fill out. And then, if that were not enough, let's see, which way do I want it to go? I think I want it to go this way. Well, then Stampin' Up! Is gifting us with a pair of really cool Hawaiian flip-flops. So I had to go in and get my size in there and get my selection made. I mean, you know, this is fun stuff, but I mean, it took a lot more time than what I had envisioned. So that is kind of the way my morning has gone. That's just a stamp, ink, and paper. However, I do have some little blotches here that I need to cover. So I found this is another item on the retiring list. I think they might be reduced, and this is the Flowers for Every Season gems. And I will tell you that the best way to adhere these is with this little guy here. And this is the fine tip glue pen. And what you're going to want to use when you use that is your pick a tool. So you want to dab wherever you want, and you have to use a very light hand with this, because otherwise you'll end up with way too much of a good thing. And what can really mar a project, I was talking to one of my team members about this earlier today, is these glues that are liquid and they dry clear. They do dry clear, but they also dry with, it's shiny. So I don't want that shininess blobbing out from, oh, look how pretty that is. These are really lovely, and they come in, there's clear and there is just jade. And so this is really kind of just the ticket, because I think that what's going to happen is it's going to look a little bit like raindrops, and they're going to give you just a little bit of shine, which I think is going to be better than like ribbon on here, which the ribbon was, I think, just not the right look. And this is going to kind of pull the eye away from where I've got any little smudges. So these, you know, they take a little bit longer, but they are lovely. And this is where that little putty tip really, really comes in handy, because that is going to, I don't think I have any more glue on here. You have to get it up in the light to see. They are reduced around $4. Okay, good to know. Thank you, Jennifer. So I'm going to put another one of those little guys right up here and another one here, because again, I've got some smudges that I'm trying to cover up. Now, what I just did is something you don't want to do, that is to put your fine tip glue pen down without putting the cover back on. You really do need to put the cover on each time, and that is to keep it from drying out and thereby clogging. Let me see if I can grab another one of these little guys. There we go. They are really, really lovely. So that is You've Been on My Mind. You know what, I probably need a couple more in here just to balance it. I haven't counted. I usually like to do an odd number of, you know, gem type embellishments. Let's see if I can get another clear one here. And that is going to go right there. And then I'm going to need one more of the green ones. And these green, they are just jade, but they're iridescent, so they really pick up the light just so nicely. So that's it. You've Been on My Mind. Simple. We did step it up a little bit by using the gems, but other than that, it's a stamp, ink, and paper card. We did use the Designer Series paper that's retiring. This is the Peony Garden, and we did use the Flowers for Every Season gems, which are also retiring. And now we are going to take, we got to put the, let's put our inside here. That's going to finish that off very nicely. And I've already got my envelope ready to go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop this in the mail to somebody who is watching here this afternoon with me. This is going to go in the mail, and I will let you know who it's going to. I usually do a drawing. I think that I'm really happy with that. I think that this is a great look for Simply Succulent stamping and paper, not using the dyes and not using any kind of fancy coloring tools, just simple and straightforward. So let's see how we get on with another one, and this time we're going to combine two different pieces of Designer Series paper. So this is the Pretty Peony paper. Ooh, that's kind of cool too. But not if I'm doing that. Man, that's way too much pattern, and not if I'm doing that. So where was that other one? It was, oh yeah, there's this piece too. We could go with that, or we could go with that, but I think we're going to go with the opposite side here, which was my initial plan, and that uses the soft pattern. Focus, Candy. Let's get back on track here. Let's use the soft pattern of gray granite. It's a warm gray. I like it a lot. Oh, Twyla, thank you. I'm glad you like that. I think this would really brighten somebody's day. You've been on my mind. I think it turned out really pretty. So let's see what we can do with a little bit more. Let's go with a more masculine. This is really, really feminine. We used a lot of flowers here, and then the succulent, the flowery parts of the succulent. So let's see now if we can go with a little bit more masculine look and see how we get on. Let's see if we can also do, I think we were going to go with this one. Let's see if we can also do the same thing with, do we want to bring in this color? Maybe not. Maybe because we're going, but see, that kind of gets lost. So that means that I either need to pull in, I've got this scrap here, but that's probably not quite what I need. Let's see. There's an envelope here. Do we have, oh, looky here. Look at there. There's that basic gray, not basic gray, what's it called? Gray granite. Let's use the gray granite, and let's go back to You've Been on My Mind. Hey Gail, I'm glad you just got home and you're joining us. You will need to watch the replay. I will show you what we started with. Our first project is this one. Stamps, ink, and paper stepped up with a few of these gems. And now we are going to do a little bit more masculine version, and we are using the stamps from Simply Succulents. Stamps only, because I've focused a lot on the dies, but I think that the stamps are equally beautiful and have a lot to recommend them. So let's see if I can take my, these are pretty decent scissors. I think these are like Fiskars or something, but what you need in my view in your craft room, and something that we don't actually carry, is just a long blade scissor. Sometimes you just need to not have to put it in your paper trimmer. And I will also say, in addition to not having to put it, this will have a little bit of imperfection, and I kind of want that look, to be honest. I think it's kind of nice. So let's see if we go here, You've Been on My Mind. Now it's going to get a little bit lost in the shuffle. So let's see if we want to add here. Now that I'm kind of liking. If we want to add that little bit of silver. This is technically a Sahara Sand foil sheet. It's part of that 3-pack. So I do kind of like that, and I do kind of like this on the angle instead of doing it perfectly layered. I kind of like that jaunty look. We could do this. Now that it's on this label here, we could do this as well, but I kind of like bringing that gray back in. And then we could bring a little bit of this gray ribbon in here. Not gray, it's the green ribbon. I kind of like that now. And then I could bring in some of these, my favorite holiday rhinestones, because this has the shaded spruce, which is a counterpart to just jade. So let's see what we can do. Clear my space here a little bit. I've gotten it rather cluttered. No surprises there. Now, let me show you one other trick that we could do if we wanted. And that is that this is a retiring punch. And like I said, this word is just a little bit too long for my punch. See, it's going to cut off a couple of letters. So one of the things I could do, if I had a mind to, I'm not sure that I do, is, where did my other little piece, because I think I'm going to use this one. Well, we can just do this one. Let's see. I could put this in here, and you see, even though it's too long to feed in, I can just feed the tip in, and then I get that kind of inverted flag, which is a nice look. So that is a way that you can extend the use of, this is the Everyday Label punch. We've had it for a long time. I have used the heck out of this punch. So many words go in here. But you can also just kind of reverse flag the ends by doing that. Now somebody's given me a sad face. Well, I hope that they're not unhappy with me. I just looked at my Facebook Live because it was cycling off again. Okay, let's go ahead and do a little something with this and make this a little bit more masculine. I do think that we're going to tie that ribbon across here because I think it's going to give it a little bit of oomph. And honestly, this ribbon I think is also maybe on sale. I think it's definitely reduced in price. And this is the Just Jade. Because it's a twill ribbon, it works really well for masculine projects. So it's not a froofy, feminine ribbon at all. It's definitely a more casual ribbon and has a lot of texture, which I think this needs a little bit of texture because it's got a lot of paper. I'm using 2 different sets of Designer Series paper. So not only contrasting patterns, but actually from 2 different sets of paper. And what's helped me do that is this is helping me to figure out which patterns, which colors of paper, and then I can figure out which patterns I want. So let me just bring that like so. And let's add this. Yeah, I think this is going to be kind of a masculine version of You've Been on My Mind. You know, if you've got a guy friend, a brother, a father, a son that you want to send a card to. I know that in a lot of us end up having, you know, people who have, if you've lost a job, if you've been sick, or maybe, you know, sometimes this is the kind of card that works really well, like a month, 2 months after someone's lost someone. Oh, the in color ribbon is only $3.60. Thank you, Jennifer. I think this ribbon was like $6 to start with. So $3.60 for 10 yards of in color ribbon. I think that is a great, great buy. And it also is a color that's going to be still current for another full year. So I do think that that's a good thing to have. So Jackie says that she really does have to use her trimmer. She just can't cut a straight line. And that, you know, fair enough. Fair enough. You got to do what you got to do on these things. So let's pop this up on dimensionals, which I have laid down somewhere. If you could, well, yeah, you can. I was going to say, if you could see my mess, you can. I have a wider range on this new setup here. And you can see, this is how I craft right here. And so now, what that means is I can't find a blessed thing here. So let's see if I can. Usually when I can't find something, I just start tidying up. And lo and behold, it appears. It's like magic. There it will be. Ah, I just found it. See? I need to put this punch up here, and there are my doohickeys, my Stampin' Dimensionals. So I'm glad, Jennifer, to the rescue with the price on that. To know that that is only $3.60, I think you need to run, not walk, to the online store. I would love for you to purchase from my online store, which is candystamps.stampinup.net, unless you're a demonstrator. And then you want to purchase from your own online store, which is brilliant because you're going to get 20 or 25% off of every single purchase, which is brilliant. So I'm kind of liking that already. I mean, you could even go this way, but I'm kind of already going this way with my fold. And I've got my bow or my knot down here. Knots are good for guy cards. You don't want bows on guy cards for the most part. Once in a while you can get away with it, but for the most part, you really don't want that. So let's see if we just kind of go like that, or I can just leave it off and go like that, which is kind of nice. I don't know, maybe less is more here. And then, do I want to add a little bit of these for a shine? So I'm going to kind of wait to see what people weigh in on with regard to this. Do I want to add that little bit of silver there? The other thing I could do, this can be, powder pink can be a little bit of a feminine color, but it might work here because it would be just a little bit. I could do that. Definitely think it looks more feminine that way. Or, let's see, I could just leave it there. What are we thinking? Do we want the punch or do we not want the punch? And then the other thing, we could even, oh, here we go. Look at there. Do you remember where I stamped all of those, I stamped all those succulents? That I could do. So that is the gray granite with the succulents stamped on it. And then we would definitely need to go, I've got a white one that's already cut over here somewhere. Where are you? Where did my little white one go? I have a white one in here. I could stamp it and cut it again, but I do have a white one here somewhere. Kathy likes the silver. Gives it a little bit of shine. And I think as well, when you're looking at a masculine card, I could add some of the less is more when it comes to embellishment on a guy card. Let's see. Where did that little stamped, there, I found it. Now let's see how this looks. What do we think about that? Is that a yay or is that an A? It kind of adds a different element to it. Again, then we would have 3 patterns, which is something that in menswear, my husband is an extremely dapper dresser. I try to just keep up with him. And in menswear, you can do 3 patterns as long as at least 2 of them are very subtle. So let's go with the silver. Or, let's see, we can either go silver with, here we got a side-by-side comparison. We can either go silver with the gray, or we can go the gray with the white. This is stamped. Now this is stamped full on. This is stamped off first. So let's just punch that one out and see if it gives us a little more subtle piece of that pattern. Is that better? I think I like the stronger one. Picks up the color in here. So I'm going to wait just another minute, and I'm going to tidy up a little bit while I do that. I say tidy up, I'm basically just throwing everything in the basket. That's going to be my tidying. So don't forget that this is the next to the last day, the penultimate day to sign up for my April Cards with a Twist class. I am going to start prepping for that in the next couple of days as far as the card bases and such. There's some product I have to order for that. So let's see. The stronger one. Okay, the 3 patterns is fun on the cards. 2 have to be subtle. Okay, I think we're going to go with this instead of doing the silver. I think the silver was our best bet, and then when I added this, it kind of changed it. So let's add that, and I do like that kind of line going across there. So let's just keep that going. And here we go. And then I'm going to let you guys tell me, since we don't have our silver label, don't forget Storybook label is retiring, as is this ribbon, even though the color's not retiring. So that's kind of an important aspect. Yeah, the white on the stamped. Yeah. Okay. You know, sometimes if you just kind of keep working with it, you come up with something that you like even better. I'm just going to leave those ends just like that. But I think I might come over here and grab my, I'm just warning you now, I think I'm going to sneeze. So that's really not something you like to do on camera, but thankfully at least the camera is facing down, but I don't sneeze softly, so just warning you. A couple of these mini dimensionals, that's where these little skinny strips, if I want to pop that up, now it has that little depth to it. So I think it's pretty snazzy just the way it is. Super simple, just a little bit of stamping, a little bit of cutting, added a little bit of ribbon. Do we want to add a few of these or do we not? Is that a little bit too much? Actually, you know what? That's a lot of green. That's a lot of just jade. So if we were going to add anything, I would add a couple of these spruce ones because this is a very strong green. It's the deepest of the, it's like the really deep version of just jade. So I could do, I think I can actually get away with that, although maybe it's a bit lost. I don't know that it's even necessary. I'll wait till y'all tell me. Sometimes I just add, you know, I have trouble leaving it alone. I just keep adding. So I will wait till you guys tell me what is my better bet here. And while I'm waiting for you to tell me, I'm going to clean my stamps like a good girl. And somewhere in here, I brought I know I packed a Stampin' Scrub, not a scrub, a chamois. Here we go, sorry about the clunk. Okay, but I do think that I'm liking this new camera setup. It's a lot more stable. Even when I'm cleaning my stamp, it's not rocking, because when I had it on that gooseneck, it was really, every time I moved my desk, because I am a heavy-handed stamper, it would kind of rock. So I do think that I will stamp my inside. I do have an envelope here. Let's just sweep all of that off to the side. And I have a white, where'd it go? I do have a white panel, here we go, to go on the inside. Okay, so we like it just the way it is. Okay, so, you know, I will say these little, although there's these little rhinestones on here, they're really subtle, and I think that unless you get it just in the right light, you can't even tell that they're there. So I think that's something that with masculine cards, you definitely want it to be more subtle. I would definitely send this to a guy. So, like mate, I think what I started to say earlier, and maybe I never finished, I think that when someone has lost a loved one in their life, you know, after all of the funeral has been finished and maybe they've, you know, had to deal with all of the things like death certificate and all of those things, that, you know, after kind of the dust settles, as it were, it can be a really lonely time, because they're adjusting to life without that loved one. And so I think that that's where You've Been on My Mind is a really nice card to send. Okay, so let's see. So I've got several people liking the darker green, and okay. So Mary's asking, how did you get the silver crackled? I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you're referring to this piece here, this is actually a piece of paper from, this is a foil sheet from the, what do you call it, the spring catalog, and it comes in a set of 3 colors. This is technically, it's a hair sand, so it's not a real silver, it's kind of a softer silver. So, oh, I think you're talking about this. This is actually stamped. And so I had stamped on here, and then I just punched out. So you get, it does look kind of crackled, Mary, you're right. So I think that's what you're referring to. So kind of a cool look that we can get. And last but not least, I'm going to bring in this stamp once again. And this is that big background stamp. well, it's not a background stamp, but it's the way I'm using it. And I'm going to use it full strength on my envelope, which I've kind of mucked up this side of it. Ooh, you know what I could do? Do I have a piece big enough over here? Probably not. Let's just do this. Because I got some smudgy ink on there. Look at there, voila, you can't even tell now. And that'll be a nice little something, subtle, a nice little something. And this is gonna go on the inside. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm going to ink this guy up again, stamp it off, and then I'm gonna do a little bit right down there in the corner. And that will be just a little bit of something, something in there. And I will show you my camera setup, Jen, because this is a brand new one and I just got it from Amazon, which is where all of my arm, whatever you call them, there's a name for those things, tripod, camera holder, phone holder. Technically I think it's called a tripod, although it's really not a tripod. A true tripod, of course, has 3 legs on it, and if you use that when you're filming with your iPhone or your smartphone, you'll end up getting those legs in the camera, which you don't want. So let me flip this over to a clean side. So I'm liking this. For a guy, I think this is a nice one. And then we have, for the girls, we have this one. And both of these are using the Retiring Peony Garden Designer Series paper. This one, I've used the Forever Greenery Designer Series paper. For this one here, actually stamped on vellum and then layered it onto just jade. I did get my color scheme for these cards from my trusty little, where'd it go? My little color coach. I think I threw it in my basket. See, this is what happens. I clean up and then I need everything again. So here's my little trusty color coach. And again, Just Jade is going to be sticking around for another year. And I will tell you that there's another in color coming our way, a new in color that blends or pairs beautifully with this color. So don't forget, if you have not already signed up for this Cards with a Twist class, tomorrow's the very last day that you can get in on that. And super, super versatile stamp set. We used just the stamps today. I used just the dies when I did these cards. And then the 8 cards that you make in the Cards with a Twist class are using this color palette here and this set of Designer Series paper. All of this die cutting is done for you. All of this embossing is done for you. And so you get a chance to just kind of sit down and you will cut your Designer Series paper. Other than that, you're just gonna play. You're gonna stamp, you're gonna do a little bit of coloring with your little doodads. These little, sponge daubers, thank you. What's fun about sponge daubers is you can put them on your fingers like this. They're almost like little finger puppets. So, glad you liked the cards. They are actually going to go in the mail. I will share that information with you once I am done and I get these photographed. I will do a little drawing and pop these in the mail. So most of you on here, I have your contact information. Some of you I don't. So if you ever get a message from me on Facebook and says you won the drawing for a free card for my demonstration card today, and if you'll give me your mailing address, then I will pop that in the mail for you. So most of you, I have your mailing address because you've purchased a class or you've placed an order. So that's it for today. This has been simple and stepped up. We did stamps, ink, and paper cards with just a little bit of something added in. We did a masculine and a feminine, and we used Simply Succulents along with some Retiring Designer Series paper and a couple of other retiring items. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you here Tuesday for Teach Me Tuesday. Thank you so much. Take care, and God bless. Don't forget to share my video. It helps.